now from the vistas of Monument Valley, it's the IGN Digigods. So please welcome two rejects from the Magnificent Seven, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
And Bob, to whom do we owe that outrageous opening?
Yul Brynner.
No.
Don't smoke.
Come on.
Stuart Moncure, if you really want to know.
Yes, we do want to know. Thank you, Stuart.
Wait, I have an easy question for you.
Yes, hit me with it.
We got this book called Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Yes.
From Matt Forbeck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'd want to actually read this book because it's really, really deep nerd.
Yeah.
But I figure I can ask Wade some questions.
Go ahead, hit me.
Because there's a quiz.
Do it.
Before every chapter.
Ah.
Now I'm going to make this. I'll make it very simple.
Okay.
And then throughout the show, I'll thread them in, and they will become increasingly more difficult.
I see. That's what I'm in for, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
The Earth scientist who invented the first warp drive known to humans was. You can probably answer this without the.
Multiple choice?
Not the multiple choice.
Yes.
A. Jonathan Archer. B. Zephram Cochrane. C. Montgomery Scott. D. Harry Kim.
That would be Zephram Cochrane, but only one actor portrayed him properly.
You're going to say that's the actor from the TV series, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
because the guy from Babe did a horrible job in that in the movie.
All right, no one likes you.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
It was ridiculous.
What besides a hyperdrive does a ship need to be able to travel safely through hyperspace? So now we're talking about Star Wars.
Yes.
What besides hyperdrive does a ship need to be able to travel safely through hyperspace? A. Seatbelts. B. Tachyon generators. C. A force-sensitive navigator. Or D. Pristine calculations.
Good grief.
That's a weird question.
It's got to be the tachyon thing.
And now it's pristine calculations. That must be based on a piece of dialogue from the movies.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Whatever.
All right, this book is lame. But you know what? We're going to keep asking questions from it because the questions are fun.
You know, we also have some very, very sad news this week. A longtime listener of the show, a longtime fellow DVD aficionado, actually passed away about a week and a half ago, completely unexpectedly, and really took us by surprise. I think you found out about it completely, like, secondhand.
You know what? I can't remember how I found out about it, actually. I really can't.
Well,
but it was absolutely shocking.
Yeah, Jeffrey Rosado, who's been a friend of the show for a very, very long time, passed away this last week, and at a rather premature age. And it's enormously sad, and we wish his friends and family all the best and offer our very, very most heartfelt condolences. Jeffrey was a really good guy, emailed us very often. And actually,
we were part of his Oscar broad. You know, he would do the Oscar show every year.
He would. He did his own podcast called the DVD Marquee, and he really was a huge fan. I mean, the last email we got from him, actually, he was really excited about the Dark Shadows movie, Johnny Depp, and stepping into the Barnabas Collins part, and that really excited him. And he unfortunately won't see it come to fruition, at least not from an earthly vantage. But, I went back and looked up the very first email that he ever sent us. And it was really very reassuring. It was one of those, this is back in 2007, and it was, oddly enough, July 5th, 2007.
Really?
Which is the day that we are recording this. We don't usually say what day we're recording this, but today is July 5th, the day after the holiday. And this was exactly 4 years ago, which is kind of surreal in a way. He wrote us, and at the time he said, "Hi, Wade and Mark. As a fellow podcaster and huge movie buff / collector, your show is like oral crack. I'm jealous and inspired at the same time. You guys are a fabulous team. If you had a morning show on Sirius, I'd sign up. I was in radio for a while back in the 80s, and you guys have the stuff to be a great morning team without all the kiss-ass sidekicks, wacky sound effects, and jokes that might be funny, but they're not that funny. Cute as a kick-ass sidekick. Anyway, I love your show and would appreciate it if you'd give my show a listen and offer any suggestions or constructive criticism, that is, if you guys ever have the time." And that was exactly 4 years ago today.
And that was the beginning of a relationship via email and phone calls. We would do his Oscar show every year.
We did, and it was a joy. And he was a real pro, and he really knew his stuff. And it very often, I think, humbled us how much he knew and how valid his insights were, and it's a real loss. It's a loss to us, for our show, but I think it's just a loss to people in general. He was a really good guy and genuine through and through, and he'll be missed.
Now, I'm not sure if anyone's taking over his podcast or maybe the Oscar show, but whoever, they have very big shoes to fill.
Yes, they do. So with that, we're going to dedicate this show to Jeffrey Rosado and his memory, and we wish, again, all the very, very best to his friends and family, that they carry on without him, but carry on his memory as well.
So, Wade, Jeffrey would want us to start with the good stuff.
He would.
Not the crap you always start with.
You're right. He'd want us to
So
start
go for the Criterion right off the bat. Just do it.
You know what? We got a pile of foreign films here and a fabulous Criterion double. It's not a double feature, it's a double release. A couple of Louis Malle films. And, Louis Malle, one of the great filmmakers of all time.
Lame.
Kind of, well, he was married to Candice Bergen.
Candy Bergen, if you knew her.
Candy, that's right. Candy was a young girl. But Louis Malle, the interesting thing about Louis Malle, he's not part of the French New Wave, technically, but he came around at the same time. And he made films that a lot of people like to associate with the New Wave, but the New Wave was very specifically all those guys that knew each other. They came from Cahiers du Cinéma, it was Godard and Chabrol and Truffaut, and it was this very specific group that came out of that movement and had a very specific philosophy behind them. And Louis Malle was just making movies at the same time, but he wasn't really part of their milieu. And these two films are absolute classics, and it's wonderful that they're getting this treatment. One of them is one of his very earliest, which is right from that New Wave period. That is Zazie dans le métro. Zazie in the Metro. And it's delightful. It stars the absolutely fantastic Catherine de Mongeau as the title 10-year-old character who has this fantastic weekend in Paris with her uncle, played by Philippe Noiret, a much younger Philippe Noiret. And this is just a delightful film. It's not 400 Blows, but it's a great companion piece to the 400 Blows, and it's true unbelievable charm. And there are some great extras on here, archival video interviews with Louis Malle and the novelist and Catherine de Mongeau as well. Screenwriter of the film is another interesting tidbit. You know who wrote this?
Oh yeah, it was Michael Bay.
There you go. Jean-Paul Rappeneau, the same Jean-Paul Rappeneau who wrote and directed the fantastic Cyrano de Bergerac with Depardieu of 1991 or 92, whenever that was. It was an amazing film. The thing about Rappeneau is he makes one film like every 20 years, and I'm not kidding. It's like he's
Malick-esque.
It's insane how rarely he works, and he's been asked about it, and he just says, "Well, it takes me a long time to get my enthusiasm up." It's like, geez, guy, really? Seriously?
As long as he can support himself.
I guess. He also did A Horseman on the Roof, which was butchered in its release here. I'm still waiting for that original cut to get released here. But anyway, yes, Zazie dans le métro on Blu-ray, on a fantastic Blu-ray, I might add. Brilliant color from 1960. Really, just the one thing that you didn't see in a lot of French New Wave stuff at the time was really bright color. 1960 is beautiful. And then another fantastic color film from Louis Malle, this one much later, 1975. And this is less known, actually. This is Black Moon. And I'm relatively unfamiliar with Black Moon, I got to say. But it is a gorgeous film, beautifully shot by Sven Nykvist. Or is it Nykvist? Is it Nykvist? Is it Nyquil?
I usually go for the Nyquil.
Yeah.
But I'm barely American.
Yeah. Okay.
I barely speak English, let alone Swedinsky.
So Sven Nyquil.
I would go Sven Nykvist.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, because it's not Nyquil. If you walk into the drugstore and say, I need some Nyquil, they wouldn't know what to give you.
That is, yes, they will give you a kick in the butt to get you out of the store.
So it would be Nyquil and Nykvist. Okay.
Very true.
I think we've determined exactly what that is. Very good. Anyway, this is an odd, almost kind of a surreal film, really. Black Moon stars Catherine Harrison as this woman who is like kind of a World War III scenario, and she holes up in this farmhouse and bumps up into this very peculiar family. It's really an odd movie, and I'm not sure that I like it, though I respect it. But it definitely is worth a look, and anything that Criterion decides is worth a look. There's an interview with Louis Malle on here from way back when, obviously, since he is deceased. There's also an alternate French dubbed soundtrack, since this is an English language film. And, check it out.
It's more an experimental mode. It's sort of post-apocalyptic.
Well, and when he got into that mode,
talking animals.
When he got into that mode, what was the Chekhov thing?
Star Trek?
Thank you. Exactly.
Well, by the way, here's another Star Trek question.
Oh, dear. No, Vanya on 42nd Street.
Yes.
That was just not right. That was wrong.
This one's easy. I'm really...
Hit me.
Oh, okay. You know what?
One more time.
This one's harder.
Okay.
Starfleet's first ship capable of Warp 5 was the A, Defiant, B, the Enterprise NX-01, C, the Titan, or D, the Bird of Prey. Starfleet's first ship capable of Warp 5 was either the Defiant, the Enterprise NX-01, the Titan, or the Bird of Prey.
The Defiant.
Oh, the answer is the Enterprise NX-01.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay, you know what? Here's a gimme to get you back into it.
Get me back into it.
The starship that Khan Noonien Singh commanded was the A, Endeavour, B, Botany Bay, C, Vengeance, or D, Alcatraz.
I'm going to go out and I'm going to say Andy Griffith.
You don't know the answer to that?
No, go ahead. Hit me again. I'm barely listening. What was it?
The starship Khan Noonien Singh commanded.
Yeah. That was Botany Bay.
Thank you. Jesus Christ.
I'm just testing you.
That was a gimme.
I know.
Because you weren't paying attention the first time I said it.
I wasn't paying attention. Because I want to talk about Kon Ichikawa's The Makioka Sisters, which is another wonderful Criterion release this week. This film actually had a theatrical release just like 4 or 5 weeks ago. Limited on, at least here in Los Angeles, very limited, but it was a beautiful, beautiful new print that was
So who distributed that? Was that a Janus thing?
That's a Janus thing. Janus did it, I think, through Kino, maybe, but I'd have to go look.
Because Janus is the film...
Well, it's a library that has a relationship with Criterion, so pretty much most of the Janus stuff winds up on Criterion.
Right, but Janus is not a distributor.
No, they're a library. They're basically a library, which can be a distributor if you actually go out and do it. No, this is actually a beautiful, wonderful pastoral film. The Makioka Sisters, Kon Ichikawa, one of the great directors of the Japanese New Wave, made this right at the end of his career in 1983, and it is just gorgeous. It is wonderfully photographed. It's a fantastic Blu-ray, and it's basically the story of these 4 sisters who are trying to sort of maintain their family's business.
Making kimonos.
Just prior to World War II.
Making kimonos.
Exactly. And, it reminds me in many respects of Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. It has kind of similar dynamics, and you could almost say it has like a King Lear dynamic in some respects, too. But except without the king. Just, the siblings,
and much less
leering.
Children,
and way less leering. But it is, what's wonderful about this, and so many films that have World War II as a backdrop, or certainly the historical turmoil, is that there's something about, you can write a great drama, but when you know that something in the world is about to transpire at the same time, like in Dr. Zhivago. In Dr. Zhivago, everything is the backdrop of the Russian Civil War. It's really, it just gives it that added heft. It's like Sound of Music, lovely film, but it's got Nazis, and that somehow makes it weightier. And it's the same thing here. It's a lovely film, so highly, highly recommended. Not a lot by way of extras.
Don't you find it strange that the Sound of Music is about Nazis?
Not really.
I mean, can you imagine a musical, like a beloved musical, wins 100 Oscars, all about Islamic terrorists?
Someday. Sound of Music. Yeah, Sound of Music was 20 years after the end of World War II.
Okay, so in 2021 there'll be a musical starring Anne Hathaway and Nicole Kidman as her mother.
Yeah,
and a bunch of terrorists blow up the World Trade Center. I mean, it just doesn't compute.
You know what? We'll get there. We'll get there. All right. Give it time. A couple of latecomers. Well, we're latecomers to both of these, but these came out a little while ago. There's a double feature on Blu-ray from the people at Warner Brothers. This was we'd hoped to talk about this in tandem with the new Arthur, the horrible, dreadful remake, but we didn't get it in time. We got it now, and for good reason, because the original Arthur is so much better. This is a double feature of Arthur and Arthur 2 on the Rocks. The sequel being horrible, but still better than the remake.
Only because, well, you know what? Here's the thing. Obviously, the original director, Steve Gordon, had passed away.
Which is so sad. It's just unbelievable.
And it was years before they actually were able to get Arthur 2 off the ground with Bud Yorkin as director. Because Arthur was in 81, Arthur 2 was in 88.
Yeah.
And that's,
that's a long time.
Back then, that was considered like an eternity.
Well,
and they finally get it together and make this movie. They get Dudley Moore back, Liza Minnelli's back, and it is so dreadful.
It's dreadful. It is dreadful. But not as dreadful as the remake.
That is true.
But they didn't get bad people to do it. I mean, Andy Breckman, who wrote it, not a slouch. Andy Breckman's written a lot of good stuff. And Bud Yorkin directed it.
Yeah, he's a guy. Does stuff.
Right.
He's a guy, does stuff.
Also, Soylent Green out on Blu-ray.
Soylent Green. It's I won't give it away.
It's a so-so Blu-ray. I gotta say, a lot of these kind of gritty '70s films where they started using really much faster color Kodak stock, they don't transfer that impressively to Blu-ray.
You know what? There's something very kind of smeary about them.
That's it. Yeah, it just doesn't feel like it's like it's meshing well with the resolution for some reason.
But
I don't know what it is.
But there, usually science fiction films of this vintage don't hold up. I mean, yes,
True.
Planet of the Apes, although that's a little earlier.
This one does.
This one kind of does. I mean,
totally
really,
does.
It's not bad.
No, it's great. It's a great film. The Blu-ray has a commentary by Richard Fleischer and Lee Taylor Young, as well as a couple of old original little featurette deals.
I love the vintage featurettes. Those are awesome.
Well, yeah, assuming that they're not for a lame movie. Whatever.
Wade, you're a hater, aren't you?
No, it's sad, man. One of our fans died. It doesn't leave us with very many.
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh. How dare you?
Anyway.
Would you like me to talk about this?
Yes, I would.
It's been a while since we thought of this film, but it was highly acclaimed at the time. People loved Jagged Edge.
It was the beginning. You know what? Esterhaus, that was the beginning of a streak. He said, hey, man, I can get a lot of mileage out of this. Person A loves person B, but doesn't realize that person B may or may not be a killer, and then we find out at the end of the movie, that whole little question mark. Ooh, did he or didn't he? Did she or didn't she?
Yeah,
that was the beginning of that, and he went on and he did that in 5 different films.
He really did. Oh, and Esterhaus also went on to write Showgirls later on.
Yeah.
But before that, we have Jagged Edge. This is from 1985. This stars Glenn Close and Jeff Bridges. This was directed by Richard Marquand, who, of course, directed Return of the Jedi.
And then died. And this is, this is a cool little edgy thriller. You know what? This was highly acclaimed at the time, and it's still a good movie. It's with Peter Coyote also, and Robert Loggia, who I was making fun of yesterday. Really? You're making fun of Bob Loggia?
I'm Robert Loggia. This is Robert Loggia. Hello. I'm Robert Loggia.
But is there a more magical moment in his career than the piano scene in Big?
That's awesome. It's a great scene.
Yeah. And he was in Scarface. Anyone who's in Scarface.
Wait, there was a
Big,
piano scene in Scarface?
Anybody who can wind up in Scarface and in Big and in Lost Highway, David Lynch's Lost Highway.
Yeah.
Anybody who can walk that line between those 3 movies, I'm sorry, you rule. Seriously. That's everything. Those are all movies.
Robert Loggia.
There you go.
Anyway, San Francisco socialite is murdered, and who did it? We're going to find out. Oh, yeah. We're going to find out thanks to Something in the Closet, Wade. Remember? There's something in the closet. Good movie. There's no extras on this thing, but I would definitely give this a rental because it is a terrific movie.
Fabulous. Money Train is something that you should absolutely not rent. This is I can't believe this thing is actually on Blu-ray. Who with all the things you can put on Blu-ray, Columbia, why would you do this? Columbia has this deal basically with Image where a whole bunch of stuff in their library that they just don't see any value in, they're letting Image put it out on Blu-ray. Basically, that's the arrangement. But a lot of it is good, like Jagged Edge, what we just talked about, is part of that streak. But Money Train, for crying out loud, Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson reteaming after White Men Can't Jump and making an absolutely horrible movie with Jennifer Lopez to boot, but she's kind of wasted, and they're all wasted, for crying out loud. Here's the idea. Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson are a couple of transit cops working undercover on the New York subway, and Jennifer Lopez is the girl in the middle, and there's a heist involved, and it's just so uninteresting.
I disagree.
And it's
This is a great movie.
It's terrific, and here it is on Blu-ray, and not very good Blu-ray, I might add. It's really heavily chalky and noisy in places. You just really see the compression, and I did not appreciate that.
Before Nicolas Cage became the Nicolas Cage who we now know and hate,
Yes,
there was another Nicolas Cage.
kind of like Al Pacino.
I
They
know.
both had the same career trajectory. They both won Oscars, and then they started screaming and being weird.
It's just the worst. Leaving Las Vegas is finally on Blu-ray. This is a you know what? It's a terrific film. Mike Figgis. It's a dark film, very dark. And in the movie, Nicolas Cage plays an alcoholic who is essentially gone to Las Vegas to drink himself to death. And while in Vegas, he meets a prostitute played by Elizabeth Shue. What people forget about this movie is that it's based on a book by John O'Brien.
No kidding.
And it was considered that the book that John O'Brien wrote, Leaving Las Vegas, that the novel was actually O'Brien's suicide note. Because you realize that a couple weeks after the book was optioned to be made into a film, he committed suicide.
No kidding.
John O'Brien committed suicide.
Oh my gosh!
And the book was considered John O'Brien's suicide note.
After the option?
Yeah.
Like all that money.
I
What's
know.
wrong with people?
I know.
Come on.
2 weeks after learning his novel would be made into a film, he committed suicide. And the movie is about a guy who essentially goes to Vegas to commit suicide.
That must have been one messed up dude.
Yeah, really. But it's a terrific film, and we kind of goof on it just because it's Nicolas Cage and he's out of his mind now. But Leaving Las Vegas is a really good film. It is dark and it is brooding, and it just totally owns it. Totally owns it. It's about dependence and obsession, and it's just drug abuse, and just it's a dark movie, but it's good.
Wow.
The Blu-ray has the uncut, unrated version, which is quite good as well. But there's nothing wrong with the theatrical version. But that's all it has. But I would very highly recommend Leaving Las Vegas. Don't worry about the Nicolas Cage who's in the next film we're about to talk about. Worry about this Nicolas Cage back when he was an actor.
Yeah.
Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah. Mike Figgis. What's he done lately?
Not much. He's kind of done, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he did like that. What was the thing? Timeline, timetable, time clock. What was that? With the four.
He's only done. You know what? He did an episode of The Sopranos, and he did a terrible thing called Cold Creek Manor. And that's kind of been it for him.
Well, no, there was the thing with the four cameras, the four quadrants.
Oh, Time Code.
Time Code.
That was in 2000.
Oh, jeez, that was. Well, anyway, he needs to do something, man. That guy had it going on, and then he just walked away.
He really did.
Walked away. Well, the next film is another Nick Cage movie that came out earlier this year and just died. And now it comes out with an exclusive, never-before-seen alternate ending. Oh, my gosh. Will that salvage Season of the Witch and actually make it watchable? No. It's just marketing ploy. Makes no difference. There are 0 extras on here. Deleted scenes and a featurette and then that alternate ending. But really, otherwise, as far as anything significant, nothing. This is a Blu-ray and digital copy combo. And this is this weird kind of medieval video game-inspired thing with Nicolas Cage and Ron Perlman, who's slumming it here for some reason. Basically is medieval knights who... have to, help this woman get to a monastery. She's accused. Everyone thinks she's a witch, and they've got to make this. That sounds like almost like a video game, wouldn't it be? Get from point A to point B. Interesting. Well, anyway, it's a supernatural action thriller piece of junk, and I actually know a little bit about this film, and I'm not sure how much I should say, but let me just say. This had huge production problems, huge post-production problems, and on top of that, I believe there was a lawsuit over the material. None of it, all for naught, because it's a crap movie.
I don't know if you realize this, but Nicolas Cage actually created his own acting method.
Yeah, I know. Screaming.
It's called. No, he did. He's supposedly will write a book about this someday. It's called the Nouveau Shamanic.
The Nouveau what's
The Nouveau Shamanic.
I don't know.
That is the Nicolas Cage acting method.
And
He literally invented this acting method, and that's what he uses.
And what does it consist of?
It consists of him being a horrible actor, but the thing is that this is like no joke. It really is no joke. He's not method. He's got his own thing.
And does it ferment?
You think I'm joking, don't you?
I just it sounds so silly to me.
I believe you're wrong. He studied for 6 months, and looking at De Niro and Laurence Olivier as models. But then you know what? He's got a whole new thing. It's his own school of acting. He's going to write a book about it. Nouveau Shamanic. Look it up, folks.
Okay, fine.
It's all true.
Wow. Whatever.
Exactly. He's out of his mind.
He is crazy. Okay. Yes, sir. A highly underrated film is Hotel Rwanda, and that is also now out.
That's not underrated. That's a good movie.
You know what? I don't think Hotel Rwanda really got all the claim that it deserved. Don Cheadle is terrific in it. Sophie Okonedo in her Oscar-nominated performance is just dazzling as his wife. I mean, she steals this freaking movie. This obviously is all, and Nick Nolte is basically a gruff, grumbly blue helmet UN guy who can't do anything to stop all the massacre. It really is a terrific film set in 1994 during the whole Rwandan genocide thing with Tutsis and Hutus, and it really, this is the first movie that actually explained to me with some degree of satisfaction the difference between a Tutsi and a Hutu, which is unacceptable in any case. It's silly. It's like gang warfare. You're from 132nd Street. I'm from 131st Street. Die, and there it is. Makes no sense. But the senselessness of it is what makes this such a great movie. It is really in a strange way inspirational in spite of the horror that it depicts. I wish it had been a little more rough. It's a PG-13 film, and you think, how do you do genocide in PG-13? Pretty effectively, to be honest. Written and directed by Terry George, actually co-written by Terry George along with Keir Pearson. But Terry George is a terrific guy. He started basically as co-writer on a lot of those Jim Sheridan films. He and Jim Sheridan go way back. It's the whole Irish thing, like Some Other Son and
In the Name of the Father.
In the Name of the Father and all that stuff. That's their whole deal. And Terry George is a terrific guy. When I did that piece on Costa Gavras for the DGA Quarterly, he was one of the guys that I talked to because he kind of does Costa Gavras stuff. He's very much working in the same milieu, and just such a great guy. And he has been now laboring for years to get this movie off the ground. Remember the UN guy who was killed in Baghdad right after the war? He's been trying to make a movie about that whole thing and just cannot get the money together. And somebody's listening to this, please give him the money.
Yeah,
seriously, Terry George is a great filmmaker, and that'd be a great movie. You'll get it back.
So you're saying that somebody listening to this podcast will write Terry George a check?
I don't know,
for $35 million.
Hoping.
Wait, before we talk about Barney's version, let's ask another Star Wars versus Star Trek question.
Go ahead, hit me.
See what we got.
Yeah.
The first emperor of the Klingon Empire was called A. Worf, B. General Chang, C. Kalis, or D. Krug.
Friggin' Krug, I guess. I don't know.
No, you got to know.
General Chang.
Well, okay. This is process of elimination. It's not Worf because he was a character on the show.
Yeah.
General Chang was a character played by Christopher Plummer in Star Trek VI.
Oh, see, I'd forgotten that.
Now, D. Krug, that's a bit of a joke because they probably mean Kruger, South African, right?
Whatever. Okay.
Well, the actress who played the Borg Queen.
Oh, Alice Krieg.
Alice Krieg.
Yeah.
Although is she Krige?
Yeah. Krieg.
Oh, this is KRU. Okay, so you know what? That was actually a legitimate answer, Wade. I take that back.
Okay.
But the answer is, of course, Kalis.
Okay.
Kind of like the shoe store. Kalis shoe store?
Kalis shoe store.
Oh, that's Payless shoe store.
Okay. Shoe source.
Shoe store. How would you know that?
Because I hear the commercials. Pay attention.
Please. All right, Barney's version is a terrific film. It's kind of fun. It's with Paul Giamatti, who plays one of those guys who's really kind of ugly and Jewish and flawed, and for some reason, hot girls like him. Giamatti won a Golden Globe for this performance for some reason. Probably his little Jew fro. It's all about the Jew fro.
Totally.
His wife's played by Minnie Driver, and his father's played by Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman having a lot of fun here, and it's a good movie. This movie was written by the same guy who wrote The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz. if you did not know that.
I did not know that.
Which
That's
is a
interesting.
very good movie.
Really good movie.
From the 50s, late 50s. Anyway, so this is all about Paul Giamatti. He's a great character actor, and when he takes the lead on something, it's just going to be a lot of fun. Special features include a 92nd Street Y interview with Giamatti and Annette Insdorf.
There you go.
A
Yes,
commentary with the director Richard J.
Okay.
Lewis, and it's good stuff. It's it's a funny, quirky little film. It's was also nominated for an Oscar, best makeup, for some reason.
So bizarre.
By the way, which movie won? Here's a Star Trek question off the top of my head.
Sure.
Star Trek,
Yes.
the film series,
Yes.
last year
Mhm.
or 2 years ago,
Yes.
won its very first Oscar.
Isn't that
In,
fantastic?
in what category?
Makeup.
That's right.
It's utterly bizarre. You know, we made fun of this movie when we first noticed that it was coming out, and we thought that's just bizarre because the one sheet is all done up exploitation style, it is intentional. Here's the thing: the cover, the one sheet artwork on the cover of this has those creases in it, like it's a folded up poster.
Awesome.
I mean, those the little creases. It wants to look like a movie from 1968, some exploitation drive-in movie.
Why not?
It's all intentional.
Awesome.
We are, of course, talking about Hobo with a Shotgun,
Talk about the self-explanatory Hobo with a Shotgun.
starring Rutger Hauer.
As a Hobo with a
and,
Shotgun?
And, of course, the real title of this, I guess, would technically be Rutger Hauer is a ... Hobo with a Shotgun.
I like this movie. You know what? It's really terrible, but you know what? It's over the top, and it gives you what it says it gives you, a hobo with a shotgun.
It is an exploitation
Come
film,
on.
exactly. Look, I mean, here's the thing. Rutger Hauer finally... He wasn't bad in Batman Begins, honestly. That was not bad. I mean, it was kind of a minor heavy. But here he's sort of wearing the grizzled look that he's now aged into. And this is actually a better film of its type, I think, than what Tarantino tried to do in Grindhouse.
Really? You like this better than Grindhouse?
I think it's a better mock exploitation film.
You just don't like
Well, no,
Tarantino.
I thought it was too polished. I just thought it felt like it was trying too hard. And here they just said, we don't have any money, so let's just do this. Let's just do this thing. You know, he's a hobo, and he pops off the train and thinks he's going to...
He has a shotgun.
He's going to make a better world. And, of course, it's just this horrible criminal nightmare where he lands and he gets himself a shotgun out of a pawn shop and decides to go to town and clean things up.
Wait.
Little, Charles Bronson, if he had been a better actor and if this movie had been made by a campier director 35 years earlier, maybe Charles Bronson would have been in this movie. Anyway, it's on Blu-ray. With the digital copy if you ever wanted to kind of carry it around with you on your phone. But, it's fine. It's a perfectly adequate Blu-ray transfer of a film that doesn't look that great to begin with. So, whatever. And then we also have, last of our regular English language things, if you're a fan of Blood Rain, which I am not, the unrated director's cut of Blood Rain, The Third Reich is out. And
Wait, when you say unrated director's cut, what director are you talking about?
We are, of course, talking about the one, the only, our favorite, your favorite, Uwe Boll.
It's everybody's favorite. Wait.
He's just a horrible, horrible man. And we've got nothing but bad things to say about Blood Rain.
He's going to come here and beat you up.
Blood Rain, The Third Reich. I mean, honestly, freaking Uwe Boll. It's all video game based, like everything that he does, and that's his bread and butter, and it's his one trick, and that's all he does. But it takes place in 1943, of course, and it pits Rain, played by Nastasia Malta, against the Nazis, and there it is. And it's an Uwe Boll film, which should scare the daylights out of you. Blu-ray, irrelevant. DVD, even more irrelevant. Mark, TV or music?
Let's do music, Wade.
Let's do music. We'll rock with the music. Bad Company live at Wembley. I was just saying the other day, there are more music festivals in the UK than anywhere else on Earth.
There really are.
It's unbelievable. Like here, we've got what's a Palooza and the other
Well,
thing.
they have Lollapalooza's not around anymore.
Yeah,
well,
no,
they used to
no.
have there used to be more. There used to be the Lilith Fair.
Yeah.
That's not around anymore, really. Lollapalooza is kind of like whatever, but they have Coachella,
Coachella,
which is a big one in Southern California.
Yeah.
And they have what else?
And, but like I remember the US Festival.
Yeah. Well, in the UK, you're thinking like the Isle of Wight.
Isle of Wight and Glastonbury, and it's everywhere. They love their music, and Wembley Stadium is a soccer stadium, but man, it gets a lot of music action. And Bad Company live at Wembley. I've never been a huge Bad Company fan, but what a great
What? How dare you?
What a great performance this is. Really, no, it is. It's terrific. You watch somebody perform, especially in Blu-ray. I've said this before. Concerts, live performance, best use of Blu-ray there is. More so than movies. The audio just hums. Youngblood and Seagull and Moving On, Shooting Star, Ready for Love. It's all good stuff.
You know who was playing at I went to the San Diego County Fair over the weekend.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that you're alive and with us today after
Awesome.
what you ate. I really am.
Don't be jealous. Just because I ate fried Girl Scout cookies and fried Kool-Aid.
How do you fry Kool-Aid?
Well, it actually wound up being kind of lame. I think what they did is they took some sort of a spongy, like a sponge cake or something, and they dipped that in Kool-Aid and then fried that. So it was kind of lame.
So it's fried Kool-Aid soaked pound cake.
I wish it was pound cake. I think it was like some nasty Ralph's sponge cake or something. Ralph's being a big supermarket chain in
Wonder Bread?
California. It was like that bad. It was lame. So I had a fried Kool-Aid. I had fried Girl Scout cookies. I had fried Twinkie. I had a fried Klondike bar. That was very good. It's so
vile.
good.
Absolutely
It's
vile
so
and
good.
disgusting.
I had chocolate-covered bacon
Ugh.
and a Mexican funnel cake.
Well,
It's so good. How dare you?
5 food groups. There you go.
But my point being is that when we were there performing live, Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh, see, that's sweet.
We're an American band.
That's right.
We're coming to your town.
That's right.
We like to party down.
Oh,
We're an
yeah.
American band.
We're dating
And then
ourselves.
on July 4th, I went on July 2nd.
Yes.
I think.
Mhm.
Something like that.
Mhm.
July 4th, REO Speedwagon.
No kidding.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah.
Come on, get some.
Love REO Speedwagon.
Awesome.
That was a big deal.
Don't be jealous.
Loving it.
Why you... Okay.
Because if I talk about it, then it.
I'm just going to make fun of you incessantly.
See, exactly.
Okay, so there's...
So you have to talk about it.
Sometime, I don't know if it was in the mid-'90s or something, this guy came on the scene with this crazy new dancing tradition that Americans didn't know much about.
Yeah.
And it was Michael Flatley, and he has this show called Lord of the Dance. And it's a UK thing, and it's
Irish dancing.
It's Irish dancing.
It's
so
great.
I remember when Lord of the Dance first hit,
Yep.
Michael Flatley performed at the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I wonder what year that was. I should look that up.
I don't know.
Michael Flatley performed at the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, I thought it was absolutely the gayest, most ridiculous, horrifyingly bad, dreadful thing I've ever seen in my life. And then I wind up, like at the commercial break, Wade calls me or I call Wade,
Yeah.
whatever it was. And you literally said, "Did you see Michael Flatley?" I just cried.
It was awesome.
You literally cried.
I thought it was awesome.
You cried.
It was a great moment.
I thought it was the most. It was absolutely
I just
Armageddon.
think that's flatly hatred.
Yes, I flatly hate him.
Yes.
That is true.
I know. A lot
I'm
of
gonna
people
find
do.
out when that was. Oscars. When did you perform at the Oscars?
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to move through.
97.
There you go.
That was 14 years ago. I
going-
called you on the phone
There
and
you-
I said
was that
that is
14 years ago?
97.
Oh my gosh!
And I said
In 14 years, I'm going to be dead, and you'll be.
I'll probably be dead
with
too.
me. Yeah.
You'll outlive me. You're like the healthiest guy. Oh, here's the thing. You're like the healthiest guy in the world. I eat fried foods.
Yeah.
You realize I'll outlive you
Probably.
because there really is
I
no.
know.
There's just no rhyme, reason, or
The
God in
old-
these things.
I know there isn't. It's all genes. I know people in their 40s who died of a heart attack with marathon running. It's crazy. Aaron Copland, Fanfare for America, is the first of a number of Naxos titles that I'm going to talk about here. Naxos does all this great music stuff, mostly classical, opera, concert, stuff like that. But every so often they come out with something different. They got a couple of really interesting different things this week. Aaron Copland, Fanfare for America, is an Andreas Skipis, I hope I pronounced that properly, documentary about the amazing American composer, possibly along with George Gershwin, the greatest American composer of all time. Aaron Copland, of course, wrote a lot of music for Western movies and certain symphonic music that's very American, very Western sounding, and it has that. It's influenced so many other composers, and this is really, really interesting. It's got interviews with his biographer Howard Pollack. and conductors and all the people who worked with it. It's just a really, really terrific documentary about a very, very remarkable, singular man. And if you love Aaron Copland, you're definitely going to want to get a look at this. Something else that's interesting here is John Malkovich as Casanova. Now, let me preface this by saying this is it's not like a movie with John Malkovich as Casanova. This is John Malkovich basically as Mozart's Casanova. And, that's awfully strange. I'm still not sure how I feel about Malkovich singing, to be honest. It kind of creeps me out a little bit, but interesting, This was written and directed by Michael Sturminger, and it's called The Giacomo Variations. And it is, here's what it is. It's what they call a chamber opera play. And it combines a lot of inspirations and a lot of different source material, and it's kind of groovy, man. Malkovich freaks me out, but when he does interesting stuff like this, it's sort of like Dangerous Liaisons on
crack.
A little bit, yeah. I got a few more. The last Naxos stuff here. We got from the Opus Arte series, La Traviata, done by the Royal Opera, which is great, absolutely fantastic, amazing sound, and I love La Traviata. I love the Zeffirelli film, but seeing a live performance of it is even better. Handel's Theodora is another absolutely just magnificent piece. This is staged by Christoph Loy, and Handel you can't go wrong there. And then we also have Verdi's Macbeth, as staged by Dmitry Chernyakov, and this is done at the Paris Opera Orchestra and Chorus, and it's quite good. I was unfamiliar with Verdi doing an opera version of Macbeth, but you know what? It actually kind of works. It's Verdi channeling Shakespeare, and not bad. Little weird. Still have to kind of decide if I thoroughly like it, but it was interesting. And then Puccini's brilliant Madame Butterfly has been released as Madama Butterfly, and this was staged by Pierluigi Pizzi. And I'm not a fan of Madame Butterfly, but I certainly appreciate it in all of its many, many nuances. That's a beautiful Blu-ray to look at, but you have to love Madame Butterfly to really, really get into it. And then from the art house music line is Puccini's Tosca, which is just one of the great operas of all time, directed for the stage by Hugo Di Anna and done with the orchestra and chorus of the Arena di Verona, conducted by Daniel Oren. Absolutely gorgeous. Brilliant Blu-ray. Tosca is top-notch stuff. And then lastly, also from Art House Music, is La Petite Danseuse de Degas, which is Degas' Little Dancer. And this is a really absolutely fantastic ballet done by the National Opera Ballet of Paris and the National Opera Orchestra of Paris. Really beautifully done. Very, very nice. Great choreography. First-rate Blu-ray through and through. So a lot of great stuff from Naxos there.
Wade, when I was a kid, I had lousy taste in music. I admit it.
Yeah.
Everyone was going for the Led Zeppelin.
And you were doing what?
Everyone was Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. Everyone loved that. Although I did love The Who.
Uh-huh.
But I also loved the Doobie Brothers.
Oh, Doobie Brothers.
Lame. They have a new CD out, or a new DVD out called
Totally.
The Doobie Brothers Live at the Greek Theater 1982 Farewell Tour. Now, what people don't remember about the Doobie Brothers is that they actually started with another lead singer. It wasn't always Michael McDonald. They started with this guy Tom Johnston, and at the time they were much more of a real rock and roll band,
Sure.
But Johnson wound up with some health problems, and he was replaced by Michael McDonald. And Michael McDonald is the Doobie Brothers
He ruined their
lead
music.
singer he kind of did. I mean, I do love some of their stuff, like Taking It to the Streets and China
Yeah.
Grove, but all of that stuff, which is much more kind of soft, rocky stuff,
Yeah.
that was all Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of hits. They were really popular. I remember the Doobie Brothers' greatest hits album was like everybody had the Doobie Brothers Greatest Hits album. Everybody.
Totally.
It was like you just had to have it.
How could you not?
And so here it is. This is their farewell tour from 1982. This was shot up in Berkeley. And it's got all their crazy songs. Listen to the music and Long Train Running, Black Water, which is their Black Water is kind of the signature song of the old period, the Tom Johnson period. Because Wade.
Yes.
The thing with Black Water.
Yes.
It keeps on rolling.
Totally.
The Mississippi Moon.
Oh yeah.
It's going to keep on shining on me.
But let me just say, are we going to keep on rocking in the free world?
No. You don't know nothing.
I'm transitioning, dude.
To what?
To Neil Young.
I like Neil Young.
Keep on rocking in the free world.
Yes, he can't sing. But the thing with the rock and roll is that it's not about the actual...
I know.
It's not like opera. Okay, Tom Waits is not going to be performing in an opera. But thank goodness Tom Waits is around to sing rock and roll.
Malkovich just played friggin' Mozart's Casanova.
Yes, he did.
Here we are in the years. Neil Young's Music Box. This is a 2-hour documentary on Neil Young. And no, it's not great. But if you're a Neil Young fan, you're not going to care. It just covers all the necessary bases. And, it's what else is there to say? It is. It's not approved, shall we say, by Neil Young or anyone close to him. But it's pretty faithful and pretty complete and pretty comprehensive, and it hits all the major beats, and it kind of makes you appreciate what he does, despite the fact that the guy just can't sing.
How dare you? That's an outrage.
I know it is. And then we also have One Night Only live at the Royal Albert Hall, the Ames Gala. And this, of course, harks back to 1988, when Bill Wyman basically organized just a fantastic collection of talent, and they all performed at the Royal Albert Hall, which I have walked around many times. It's quite a venue, and it's right there in the just most beautiful part of London, right near Hyde Park. And who was involved in this? You know who got roped into this by Bill Wyman? I mean, this is what happens when you got friends.
Oh, George Lucas.
Well, Bill Wyman, obviously, and Ronnie Wood, obviously. But also Chrissie Hynde, Eddie Grant, Elvis Costello, who we're also going to talk about here in a second, Phil Collins, Terrence Trent D'Arby. What happened to him, man?
Yeah.
Well, wishing well.
That's it. One hit wonder.
Wishing well.
The hell was that?
That guy had it really going on. I don't know where he went. He was like going to be the next Prince, wasn't he?
Oh, God, no.
You don't think?
Who said that?
I don't know. I said that.
It's because they're both African American. Oh, the next
no, he had those moves. He had that whole Prince thing going with the whole performance deal. I don't know. Guess
he was not the guitarist that Prince was.
Anyway, no, that's true. That's true. Oh my gosh. But anyway, it's pretty terrific. So there you go. That's the Ames freaking Gala live at the Royal Albert Hall.
Wait, here's the thing with Radiohead.
Yeah.
Radiohead could have been the one of the greatest bands, most popular bands ever.
I know.
But they decided they didn't want to do that. And
what did they want to do?
They wanted to just do their own thing. That's it. And they didn't care if they sold records or not.
I kind of respect that.
And I do respect that. So, I love Radiohead. I loved OK Computer and a couple of the other earlier albums and a couple later ones from OK Computer. But they sort of started to climb up their own butt a little bit. And I kind of started to lose interest. And then bands like Coldplay kind of took that sound and made it into the top 40 thing that Radiohead refused to do. And we now have a 2-disc set called Radiohead Arms and Legs. And what I like about this DVD is that it's 2 documentaries. One is the making of Radiohead's OK Computer, and the other is called Homework, and that's just a documentary about the making of the band. Both of these have been out before. They are packaged in this 2-disc set. However, nowhere on the 2-disc set, nowhere on the packaging, does it say that what is contained herein are 2 previously released documentaries. So if you're buying Radiohead Arms and Legs thinking that this is all new material, none of it is new.
Wow.
It is all it is Radiohead's OK Computer, the documentary on the making of that, and Radiohead Homework, which is a traditional documentary on how the band formed. This is not new stuff, and I'm very surprised that they would actually go ahead and do this. But there you go. If you don't have them, though, it's a cheap way to get both in one package. Radiohead Arms and Legs.
Fantabulastic.
What?
Mick Jagger's Glory Years, The Roaring Twenties, is an interesting 106-minute-long unauthorized documentary that focuses on Mick Jagger's 20s. It's really not interested in his life. It's not interested in the Rolling Stones. It's just Mick Jagger during his 20s. Kind of an interesting risk as a documentary because it's being unauthorized. They just don't have access to all the material that would necessarily really make this super interesting. But if you're a Mick Jagger fan, you're definitely going to want to get it. It certainly has some compelling stuff in it, and especially in the extras. The extras have a lot of really great little archival things that they went and dug up, and that I think is really very impressive. Photographs and film and video. It's really there's some interesting stuff here. So not great, but archivally and historically probably compelling enough that if you're a fan, you're going to want to check it out.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Elvis Costello, for a number of years now, has had a show on Sundance Channel called Spectacle.
I would have expected him to be more a Lifetime kind of guy.
Well, it's very clever. See, spectacle means,
Yes.
It's a spectacle, it's a thing to see, and he
like,
wears glasses. Signature
I
glasses.
get it.
Spectacle, Elvis Costello, Season 2, 2-disc set. This is really terrific stuff. This is Costello interviewing and playing with some great folks, including Bruce Springsteen, John Prine, Bono and the Edge, Sheryl Crow, Levon Helm, Nick Lowe. Actually, I saw Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe at Royal Albert Hall in London.
Really?
My very first trip to London in 1989,
Yeah.
I saw Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe, and I remember Nick Lowe. I just hit the mic.
Yeah.
Nick Lowe had one hit.
Wow.
It was Cruel to Be Kind. That was his hit. He was a one-hit wonder. A really talented guy, but basically a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
And I remember he comes out, he says, "Now I'd like to play a medley of my hit." And he plays.
That's great.
And then Elvis Costello comes out, right, 1989, plays his stuff. About half an hour through the show, somebody calls him a wanker. Somebody yells from the crowd at the Royal Albert Hall.
And he shot them.
No, he left.
Oh, really?
That's it.
Wow.
Show's over.
No kidding.
That's it.
Wow.
Bizarre.
Rick Wakeman, Made in Cuba, is pretty interesting. If you're not fond of Castro, you're not necessarily going to want to watch this. But Rick Wakeman, has never really been like a above the headlines A-list guy, but hugely influential on a lot of major artists. And Rick Wakeman has a band called the New English Rock Ensemble, and they were invited in 2005 to perform in Cuba. So they were like, okay, sure. So they went and they did it, and it's sort of a propaganda thing, but it's a great bunch of performances, and really one of the most significant live rock concerts ever to take place in Cuba. So I mean, it's significant in some sense, assuming you can kind of get past the political aspect of it. But stuff performed here include The Recollection and The Spaceman, Catherine Parr, King Arthur, Cathedral of the Sky. If you know anything, Starship Trooper, Worm. If you know anything about Rick Wakeman, you kind of know what to expect. And it's not for everybody, but again, it's something. First big concert in Cuba. Can't ignore that.
I can. And I will.
Of course you can. Well, in the little time that we have left, why don't we knock out some television, Mark?
Let's do it, Wade.
Let's do it. All right, Mannix, the fifth season.
Oh, God.
You know what?
I love Mannix. It's a great show.
Well, I grew up on
was
this.
Mannix great.
He was a good detective. I grew up on
He
this.
was a good yes, Wade. At the end of every episode, he solved the crime.
Well,
he is truly a good detective.
But look, like detectives on TV today, they've all got to be chiseled, and they all got to look like GQ models. And, this is back in the day when you could have Jim Rockford. Right, and he was grizzled, and he was crusty, and he wasn't rich.
I love. You know what? Jim Rockford was the first. We've said this before. He was
Yeah.
the first TV detective I remember who every episode got the crap kicked out of him.
Yeah.
Every episode, he just get the crap kicked out of him. I love that because no other TV detectives up to that point would ever get into a fist fight and just lose.
And I like Mike Connors. He had a real kind of tough beat cop attitude going, and the show.
Wait, the
70s.
show sucked. Here's another question from the Star Trek quiz.
Okay, fine.
Oh my God. Okay, now do you want a Star Trek question or a Star Wars question?
Give me a Star Trek question. Because I can't answer the Star Wars questions. There are always things like on the planet Floop Nuain. How many does it take to mate to produce a global flob? I don't know that crap.
Ooh, you might know this one because it's from Star Wars.
Yeah, whatever.
The Imperial officer whom Darth Vader choked because he found his lack of faith disturbing was A, Admiral Motti, B, Grand Moff Tarkin, C, Admiral Akbar, D, Owen Lars.
Owen Lars.
No, I'm going to say it was Grand Moff Tarkin because it's not
No,
Admiral Akbar.
Grand Moff
He was that
Tarkin.
crazy one. Owen Lars is like Luke's uncle or something.
Whatever.
It could be Admiral Motti. I never heard him. I'm going for Grand Moff Tarkin.
It's not.
It's Admiral Motti. Okay, here we go. You ready?
Grand Moff Tarkin was Peter Cushing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In Star Trek II, the Genesis device was developed on SETI Alpha 5, Regular 1, Deep Space Nine, or Yavin 4.
Regular 1.
Yes. Oh, my God. Why'd you have to think of that?
I don't know.
Star Trek II is my Casablanca.
Yes, I know it is. You're a strange man. Dynasty, the 5th season, Volume 2. You love it.
No, and neither do you.
It's so trashy. It's thoroughly enjoyable. No, this is something very interesting. This is not just a half a season. This is a double pack, and I find this really fascinating. They released a double pack of Dynasty, the 5th season, Volume 1, and Dynasty, the 5th season, Volume 2. Now, if you put it on the shelf the wrong way, it's just going to look like Volume 1 or Volume 2. And that's kind of stupid. I don't know why they didn't do this together, but here's the thing. Clearly, they came to their senses and they said, Wade and Mark hate it when we do this. Let's just do it. Let's just package it together. So this is, in fact, Dynasty, the 5th season total, but in a shrink-wrapped double half pack, if that makes sense. They're calling it the Dynasty Season 5 Value Pack. I think it's insulting that they're calling it a value pack just because it has the whole season in it. That's lame. But
Wait, here's another question.
yeah.
No one cares about Dynasty.
By the way, it's a whole new Fallon.
That's
It's
great.
really lame. It doesn't really work without Pamela Sue Martin.
Great.
They need Pamela Sue Martin to be Fallon.
That's great, Wade. In Star Trek, the original series, crew members wearing red shirts were
Yes.
part of A, the Science Division. These are crew members wearing red shirts.
Yes.
A, the Science Division.
Yes.
B, the Command Division.
Yes.
C, Engineering and Support Services.
Yes.
Or D, the Short Timers Club.
It's actually the Short Timers Club.
Well,
but it's engineering. It's like Scotty.
Engineering and Support Services. That is true.
Yeah. But it is the Short Timers Club. That's pretty great. I enjoyed that. We're running out of time here.
Wait, we have all look at these two.
Yeah,
These
okay.
two.
Pull them out. Pull them out.
Well, I mean, come
Go
on,
for it.
seriously.
Go for it.
Well,
Yes.
I've never seen this show. You talk about it.
Well, yeah, True Blood. Too many vampires in our lives right now. But this is the whoppingly beautiful Blu-ray version of True Blood, the complete 3rd season. You know what? Young, sexy vampires. I'm so over it. But look, what can I say? The show's a hit, and who am I to judge it? Alan Ball has done wonders with it, and he's now threatening on top of that to put this in 3D at some point. So whatever. But this is really, really very, very good looking on Blu-ray, and they've done a lovely job with it. And hey, look at that! Season 4 has just started. Wow, 9 p.m. Sundays. How about that crazy coincidence? A lot of great features on here, a lot of terrific extras, but strictly of interest to people who just can't get enough of this show. Just listen to the commentaries and watch the featurettes and go crazy. Spend your life just being obsessed with True Blood. And then before we completely run out, I'm going to talk about a show that I did not think would last, and bloody hell, it's lasting. And this one also just started its new season. That's Laura Linney in The Big C, which is all about a woman with cancer. And I thought to myself, Showtime, you are gutsy, but this thing is just not going to handle, especially on Mondays. Everybody is depressed on Mondays because they've started work again. Oh, great. Look, start of a work week. It's Monday. What am I going to do? I'm going to watch a show about cancer. I thought, dead in the water. And you know what? Damn, this show is working. It's working, Mark.
Laura Linney.
Yeah, and it's got Gadi Sidibe on it. So, she's getting work after the... I was thinking, is she really going to get any work?
No, because she has a very, very, very specific look.
Yeah.
Which is to say she's obese.
Yeah.
So
and
you got to be
I just
able
thought
to...
after Precious, how's that woman going to... I mean, she is Precious. What else is she? well, she's got a part on this show, and it's terrific. So definitely check it out. Laura Linney is just one of the great actresses of all time, and you got to check that out. So there it is. That's our show. We have dedicated this to Jeffrey Rosado. Once again, Jeffrey, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, you are a fan, and we were a fan of yours. God bless.